You're all going to die down here.
The Red Queen tried to warn them, but no one wanted to listen. Now the virus is loose, the city is falling, and Umbrella is about to prove just how little they care about human life. Welcome back to the world of Resident Evil, only this time, the terror isn't contained underground. Before we get started, I just want to say welcome to BleakReels, where we break down the horrific, apocalyptic, and downright bleak atmosphere of entertainment. Today we are dissecting Resident Evil Apocalypse, the 2004 follow-up to Paul Anderson's original film. We'll analyze its story, point out the shortcomings, and what it does better than the original. Let's get started. The movie begins with the Umbrella Corporation, undeterred by the events in the Hive, stupidly sending a team of scientists to investigate and contain the facility. As they enter, it becomes evident that the outbreak is far from contained. The defense systems of the Hive have been deactivated and the infected escape into Raccoon City. Alright, full stop. Why on earth are we sending scientists where a group of highly trained soldiers were never heard from again? I just think that's a bit crazy. But if it didn't happen, we wouldn't be getting this movie. So, it is what it is, I suppose. Shifting focus, we then meet a woman by the name of Jill Valentine, who happens to be a former STARS officer, who are also regarded as being the best of the best in Raccoon City. She walks into a police station overrun by infected civilians and executes them without hesitation. This brief but powerful introduction tells us everything we need to know about Jill. Fearless, competent, and already familiar with the devastating effects of the T-virus.
They're infected. I told you. She could have had it.
We then go to Alice waking up alone in a hospital. Stepping into the city during the chaos, she soon realizes that Umbrella has experimented on her, enhancing her abilities. She's no longer just a survivor. She happens to be something way more. As the infection spreads, Umbrella implements a quarantine to contain the virus. Civilians who try to escape are only met with gunfire from Umbrella forces, as the infection has reached the only way out. A father turns right in front of his daughter and bites Officer Peyton Wells. This moment sets the tone for the city's downfall. Families are ripped apart, and desperation begins to take hold. Jill, Peyton, and journalist Terry Morales team up to navigate the collapsing city in search of safety. Seeking refuge in a church, they soon discover lickers lurking inside. Running low on ammo and getting overwhelmed, it seems like the lickers are about to have a lovely meal until Alice comes crashing through a window on a motorcycle in spectacular fashion. Unlike the ones being rescued, Alice doesn't simply shoot her way through. She manipulates the environment using accuracy and strategy to take down the creatures. This scene cements her as the team leader and showcases her boosted combat abilities.
Who the fuck are you?
Meanwhile, Umbrella sends a team to extract assets. Among them is Carlos Oliveira, a skilled yet compassionate soldier. His team rescues a civilian only to realize that she's infected and chooses to end her life rather than turn. After moving to the city streets, Carlos and his squad get ambushed by zombies, resulting in brutal KIAs, and their partner Yuri getting bit. Seeing a chopper near, they request evacuation but get ignored, and instead, they receive weapon crates. When Yuri finally turns, he bites Carlos, leaving his fate unknown. This part marks the futility of Umbrella's actions and serves as a turning point for Carlos, who begins to question his role in the plans of the company. This is a great mark to emphasize the growing disillusionment with Umbrella.
These weren't meant for us.
While catching their breath in a graveyard, Alice realizes that Peyton is infected, and she warns Jill to put him down before it's too late. Before they can argue, the dead rise from the ground, attacking from every angle. Alice leads the fight with agility and precision while Jill and Peyton hold their own. This scene is a classic zombie moment, delivering the eerie apocalyptic horror fans love, considering how this gives us the OG representation of zombies, as they are actually rising from their graves. After remembering that they're in the movie, Umbrella unveils its ultimate weapon, Nemesis, a highly heavily armed bioweapon. After taking a midnight stroll, the ones controlling him give him the orders to eliminate stars. He massacres them effortlessly using a minigun and a damn rocket launcher. I feel inclined to mention that there was a civilian in there with the soldiers by the name of LJ, and Nemesis managed to not even scratch him. A scene that definitely establishes Nemesis as a near unstoppable force.
Respect.
Dr. Charles Ashford, who happens to be a high-ranking Umbrella scientist, contacts the team, offering them a way out if they find his missing daughter, Angie. He reveals that Umbrella plans to nuke Raccoon City, framing it as a power plant meltdown. This subplot adds emotional weight considering how Ashford's desperate attempt to save his child contradicts heavily with Umbrella's ruthless approach to human life. Alice and her group have a run-in with the Nemesis, and during the confrontation, Peyton is unfortunately killed. Unlike the mindless zombies, Nemesis is a calculated hunter. Alice fights back but is ultimately forced to retreat, setting up their inevitable rematch. There's also a short moment where LJ meets Jill again and becomes a part of the team. As they get guided by Dr. Ashford, the group arrives at the high school. To Terry's dismay, they split up to cover more ground, and the sequence is packed with tense moments as we are uncertain of what they'll encounter. LJ is saved by Carlos after having a brief comedy relief moment, and he also confirms that he got the call from Ashford as well.
I see you, mother.
Elsewhere, Terry gets ambushed by infected children. Her screams echo through the hallways as Jill finds Angie nearby. As they make it to the cafeteria, the infected dogs make a comeback, overwhelming Jill and Angie. Nikolai tries to save them but is torn apart.
Oh shit.
Jill attempts to overwhelm the room with gas and set it ablaze, but unfortunately miscalculates. That is until Alice arrives and one-ups her yet again. Angie then reveals that her father created the T-virus to cure her degenerative disease, but Umbrella, being the sickos that they are, twisted it into a weapon. This revelation adds deeper insight, painting Ashford as a tragic figure and Umbrella as the true villain, capitalizing on company corruption. Carlos catches up with the others while he and Alice have a bit of a standoff, until LJ comes in right behind him saying how he made a deal with Dr. Doom like the rest of them. Carlos finds the remains of Nikolai and starts to vomit as his infection rate has worsened.
Should've told me you got bit, motherfucker. I'm hanging with you and shit.
Heading to the extraction point, we get a short team bonding moment. Alice gives the antivirus to Carlos and gives a brief explanation about her and Angie's infection.
Angie's infected?
Yes. The cellular growth is enough to regenerate her, but not enough to cause further mutation.
Jill also hands Alice Terry's recorder, hoping her story can be used as evidence, saying that she'll put it to good use. Upon arrival, they're met with a heavily armed Umbrella squad. Alice fights through them in a stunning sequence, using acrobatics and environmental tactics. Fun fact, this is actually one of Mila's favorite stunts, and apparently, this was a 60-foot wall she ran down. After letting his men be used as cannon fodder, Kane finally shows himself. He reveals his intentions of testing Alice and Nemesis against one another. After murdering Ashford and threatening the lives of the others, Alice is forced into a brutal showdown with Nemesis. The hand-to-hand combat is raw and intense, with Alice using her speed and agility to counter the raw strength of Nemesis. After proving to be the better experiment, the fight turns emotional when Alice realizes that Nemesis is her ally from the previous film, Matt Addison. Jill and Carlos manage to break free and lay down covering fire, while Matt regains his humanity, turning against Umbrella and sacrificing himself to help the group escape. Before they exit stage left, Alice puts that sweet old vengeance to use, pushing Kane into a horde of zombies. A satisfying end for a man who viewed human lives as expendable. If only other people could take notes. Just as they were promised, Umbrella nukes the city, erasing all evidence of their crimes. However, the helicopter is caught in the blast wave. Alice is impaled trying to protect Angie, and they unfortunately crash. When the debris clears, Umbrella unsurprisingly arrives at the site, finding Alice's body but no sign of anyone else. In a final twist, Alice is revived and further experimented on by Umbrella. She wakes in a childlike state but quickly regains her memories, remembering that
My name is Alice, and I remember everything.
after giving the Umbrella workers what they deserve, Alice displays terrifying new telekinetic abilities, hinting at her continued evolution. After escaping, she's cornered by Umbrella forces only for her friends, now posing as high-ranking soldiers, to retrieve her. Now this is a bit confusing to me because they were the only survivors from Raccoon City. There was a news report that said Carlos and Jill were taken into custody for questioning as they were being blamed for what happened. Regardless, you'd think Umbrella would do anything to silence them for good. Then again, the world seems to not give a damn about what Umbrella's doing. Either that or their reach is greater than we think, and that seems to be very plausible as this man activates what he calls Project Alice. Her eyes flash the Umbrella logo, hinting that they have control over her. The camera then pans out to an Umbrella satellite, reinforcing just how capable the corruption may just be. This ending doesn't just set up a sequel, it completely changes the stakes. Umbrella has lost control of their own experiment, but Alice isn't just a victim anymore. She's their greatest creation and possibly their biggest threat. So does Resident Evil Apocalypse improve on the original, or does it stumble under its bigger scope and action-heavy focus? Let's find out. Moving on to the highlights of the film, one of the most memorable moments is the church fight against the Lickers. The way Alice comes into the scene is iconic in of itself. Her crashing through the window on a motorcycle immediately sets the tone of her being a battle-hardened survivor. What makes this scene stand out is the way Alice uses her surroundings. She doesn't go in guns blazing. She uses strategy to isolate and manipulate the Lickers' movements, forcing them into positions that put them at a disadvantage before taking them down with shots of accuracy. This showcases her intelligence and awareness in combat, turning what could have been a mindless action sequence into a demonstration of her tactical superiority. The graveyard fight is another example of her quick thinking and ability to take command under pressure. Zombies rising from the ground could easily devolve into a gimmicky sequence, but the film uses the cramped, chaotic environment to its advantage. It's pure survival horror, with Alice leading the group and fighting through the undead with unmatched ferocity. The first encounter with Nemesis, on the other hand, is an entirely different kind of battle. Here, Alice is actually outmatched and the tension is very clear. Unlike the zombies, Nemesis is a thinking, calculating adversary. This fight establishes Nemesis as a nearly unstoppable force, forcing Alice to retreat. It's a reminder that even someone as skilled as Alice isn't invincible. Now, the most overlooked yet one of the more impressive aspects of the film is how it balances the story of Alice with the development of side characters. We have Ashford, centered on his determination to save his daughter, adding an emotional core to the film. His willingness to defy Umbrella and risk everything for his child makes him a compelling character, and Angie's inclusion adds stakes beyond mere survival. Carlos Oliveira's arc is another standout. Initially a loyal Umbrella soldier, his experiences in Raccoon City push him to question his alliance. His journey from following orders to joining the fight against Umbrella add layers to his character, making him more than just a secondary protagonist. Even minor characters like LJ bring something to the story. LJ's comedy relief doesn't feel out of place. Instead, it offers brief moments of levity amidst the chaos, making the bleakness of the situation more bearable for the audience. Apocalypse probably has the most inclusion and development of side characters in the series.
You motherfuckers is crazy. Look at that big motherfucker got a rocket launcher.
Now, the final confrontation between Alice and Nemesis is one of the most intense and well-executed fights in the series. Unlike their first encounter, this battle is more personal and less one-sided. The decision to have the fight start as hand-to-hand combat is very smart, as it forces Alice to rely on her agility and skill rather than firepower. The choreography here is fluid and impactful, with every strike feeling heavy and deliberate. What elevates this battle is the emotional revelation that Nemesis is Matt Addison. This adds a layer of tragedy to the fight as Alice hesitates to finish him off. Matt's eventual decision to turn on Umbrella and sacrifice himself solidifies him as a tragic anti-hero rather than a mere monster, making the scene resonate emotionally as well as visually. Honestly, is he an anti-hero or is he really just a victim? Last but not least, we have the backstory of the T-Virus. The film's revelation about the origins of the T-Virus adds deeper meaning to the story and offers a scathing critique of corporate greed. The virus, originally created by Ashford to save his daughter's life, is a symbol of good intentions corrupted by profit-driven motives. This subplot not only humanizes Ashford, but also provides a stark contrast between his genuine love for his daughter and Umbrella's cold, calculated experiments. This backstory gives the film a moral center, painting Umbrella as a corporation willing to sacrifice lives and humanity for power and control. It's a subtle yet powerful commentary on how advancements meant for good can be twisted into tools of destruction. Shifting to what I didn't like, starting with the sensational detachment of Alice. Her shift in demeanor between the first and second films is a double-edged sword, to be honest. While her colder, more ruthless approach makes sense given the trauma she's endured, it also creates moments that feel out of character. For example, her immediate decision to kill Peyton upon realizing he's infected contradicts with her hope and compassion in the first film. While this change is likely intentional, showing how the events have hardened her, it makes her feel less relatable at times. Now, the most disappointing moment of the film is how quickly the STARS team is eliminated. Their massacre at the hands of Nemesis is visually impressive but narratively underwhelming. These are supposed to be some of the most skilled individuals in Raccoon City, yet they're reduced to cannon fodder to showcase Nemesis' power. I do not like that at all. Keeping a few of them bastards alive would have added more layers to the story and created opportunities for future installments. For example, a surviving STARS member could have joined the fight against Umbrella, bringing more tension and diversity to the team dynamic. That might sound underwhelming as hell, but everything on paper does until it's visualized and expanded upon. Despite these flaws, I low-key feel like Apocalypse is a step up from the original. The film finally sheds light on the origins of the T-Virus, revealing how a cure meant to save lives was twisted into a weapon of mass destruction. This backstory not only deepens the world building, but also reinforces just how corrupt and powerful Umbrella truly is. Unlike the first film, which kept much of the corporation's sinister nature in the shadows, Apocalypse puts their atrocities on full display, making them feel like an even greater threat. Resident Evil Apocalypse isn't just explosions and undead mayhem. It's a story about scientific ambition gone too far. Whether you're here for action or deeper themes, this film delivers both. What would you do in Alice's shoes? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to come back to BleakReels for more apocalyptic deep dives.